everybody, it's Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus of Threshold of Hineni, and I'm continuing to work on this cover that I've worked on for the last couple days, just a little bit until my husband came home. He's not due to come home for another 4 hours, but I don't get to play around for that long because I have to work in about an hour and a half. So I've got some time here. And I've got all kinds of alarms set. So what I want is I want to do something like right here, probably not in the middle, probably more like down here. And I needed something to be really contrasting. This is a journal for a friend who's kind of a biker chick, and she's just like one of the kindest people you could ever meet, super generous, does lots of things for people. And just a little bit of a hippie, you know, we were 70s girls. And anyway, I was trying to think of, like, I wanted to put a verse on the front, and I was trying to think of what it should be, and I remembered this one. I mean, I really think God brought it to mind. It says, "God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help him." Hebrews 6:10. So I'm going to use that verse, I know for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and tear that out, because I know that I want to use that on the front. And then I also, because she used to be an accountant, I printed out a small version of a ledger page that I actually have in her journal. And then this picture I had used as either a pocket or a flip in the journal, and I think I also am going to use it as a journaling card. To me, that picture totally represents her. I mean, I just can totally see her setting that up out in a field and dancing around. Totally can see that. So, did I use totally too many times? Anyway, so I'm going to have that on the front, I think. At least that's my intention. But behind these light colored things, I felt like I needed something navy that would contrast with these and also contrast with this. So I have a bandana that was in my fabric stash that I could use a little bit of that, or I might use a little bit of this if y'all don't think it's too busy with this. I'm not sure. Sometimes it works really well to put busy fabrics together, and other times it's like, whoa, baby, that's a bit too much. So we'll see. I'm going to tear a little piece and see, because that's actually my preference over the bandana. Even though originally, when I asked my husband to pick up a bandana one time when he was at Walmart, I had this journal in mind. I was actually thinking of using the bandana for a cover. And I still probably will for somebody else, but I don't know, it just wasn't, I wasn't feeling it. So I'm not going to do that. So I ended up with this cover, which is the same as mine, which is kind of fun. We don't live anywhere close to each other. We live on opposite ends of the country, so it's not like our journals are ever going to be together. But I will let her know that I have one like it. Okay, so I've got my verse there. I'm going to use that. And I want to tear these out, or do I want to cut them? I think I want to cut them. And then I'll, like, round the corners or something. So I'm going to cut these. And I'll probably use charms or buttons or something. I'm not really sure what yet. I want to give it something that will move, or at least give me some dimension. So I'm thinking some charms dangling would be really cool. We'll see. I'm just kind of, like I said, I've thought of ideas and printed stuff out, but I obviously haven't tried it yet. And I kind of choose to do that because I just want to go ahead and think in front of you so that you can, like, experience my thought process with me. Not that my thought process is expert or anything, but it has really helped me to see a variety of other journal makers' thought processes and how they think through it and everything. And so that's just been really helpful to me. So I thought I would do that for you too. Okay, so, and then I also have some other papers that I can use if I need something more. So I'm going to round the corners using my envelope maker. You just stick it in right here, and then you just go bonk, and there it is. You don't have to make that noise. It'll work just as well if you're silent. See, I didn't say anything. Oh, it didn't work as well. Maybe you do have to say bonk. That's funny. Bonk. Sorry, you guys. I teach little kids all morning when I'm like barely conscious, and I don't know. That's just my excuse. I'm actually just kind of like that anyway. Oh dear. I'm kind of wondering if maybe I printed these a little bit too big. That's the nice thing about using digital stuff, is that you can go back and reprint it smaller if you want. But no, I kind of think that's about right. Okay, so where is the center of this? How big is this going to be? It's going to be right here. So it's going to show like to about there. So if I have this, and I'm going to distress the edges. But if I put this like this, and then I have this here, I think it still needs a little bit of something. Let's go ahead and distress the edges. Oh, that's right, I was going to put this, huh? That's why it still needs something. Okay, let me go ahead and distress the edges on these. And I want to also get some ink here because I don't really want that to be white. I want it to look really old. I'll show you when I'm working some more on the inside of the book. I've got most of the inside done. I've just kind of done it here and there over the last few months in free time, sort of. Usually when I'm waiting for Bill to come home. So I've got most of the like pockets and stuff in, but I haven't done any of the cards yet. So I'll still be working on that, and I'll try to remember to show you, because I really like the way that I did this picture. In one of the places was I printed it over something else, so it made it look really, really cool. Okay, so see what a difference though that makes when you just get that a little bit more antique-y there with the ink. And so I'm getting this all inked up. So you hear that motorcycle. We live pretty much across the street from the hospital. When I first bought this house 16 years ago, the hospital was like a block away, and there were houses in between us and the hospital. But they've bought those houses and they've expanded the hospital, and it's okay. You know, it's made our street a lot busier, which is kind of the pain. And then there's this big, huge sign that's all lit up that's right outside of our front window. So it's like, you know, you don't want to sleep in that front bedroom because if you're sensitive to light at all. But, you know, there are also definite advantages to having a hospital across the street, and we certainly don't want to, you know, resent that. It's good that the hospital's growing and helping more people and everything. But somebody who works there apparently has that motorcycle, and oftentimes they're revving up at about 3 a.m. And so it does get to be, you just kind of have to go, okay, God bless them. Yeah, okay, I think it definitely needs something else behind it. I think it would be okay this way, and maybe even with some lace or something, maybe. Possibly, I'm not sure, or maybe like with just lace hanging out the bottom of that picture. But let's just see how it looks with this fabric. We don't have to use it. We can just tear some and not use it. But look at, see how it's got that same kind of hourglass thing going on? That's kind of cool. Okay, so I'm just cutting a little bit of it, and then I'm going to tear. I'm going to go ahead and tear quite a bit of that selvage off right there. And then the threads that I pull out here, you know, for it to fray, because they're already coming out anyway, I save, because I can use that as messy thread, which I may even use on the cover. Okay, and then I want to see how this isn't straight here, so I want to tear that so I can have kind of a straight top. And then if I do that, how big am I going to want it? I'm going to want it to be just barely showing out from under there, so maybe to about here. Okay, so let's tear that a bit. Is that going to be big enough, or do I need more? Maybe just a tiny, tiny bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to trim it here so that I can tear it across here. Oops, didn't tear it quite far enough. There we go. Okay, and I want those threads, so I'm going to put those over there, and I'm going to set this aside. Okay, so now let's see what we have. Let's get rid of these threads that are hanging off there, and see how nicely it's frayed. It's kind of a canvasy kind of material. It's, you know, not real lightweight, not quite, I mean, it might be, I think it's might be considered upholstery material, but not the really, really heavy upholstery. So let's see what we think of this. I like that down there, and I like this up here. Yeah, I like it. I'm just not sure how I like it with this fabric. We'll see what we think. It's kind of cool. It's covering up more than I think I want it to. Let's see how much we actually need. Oh, we could cut some of that off. It goes this way, actually. Well, maybe we couldn't. I don't know. Okay, so if we had that, and then we have this going over here. We probably could cut this down just a little bit shorter. Let me see how this is going to look. I kind of like that. I do. What do you guys think? I wish you could talk to me. I think I'm going to cut this down just a little bit. What do I want to cut off? I think I want to cut some of this off if I'm going to have to cut something. And I can always use this. I might be able to use it someplace in the journal. If not, then I can use it in Franken-paper. I would probably cut it into smaller pieces for Franken-paper. Okay, and we've got some more loose threads here. So let's get all those off so that they're not just hanging around. Okay, so let's see what we think of this. And I am kind of eyeballing it to make it kind of straight there. Okay, and I'm not sure if I'm going to sew it on or if I'm going to just glue it, because I've already got the inside of the cover done. Okay, so what about like that? Bring it down a little bit farther. Like that. I think that's good, don't you think? Okay, and then we can add like a button or something, or a dangly charm. I've got a bunch of charms that might be cool. In fact, a peace sign might be kind of fun. What do you think? I like that. Isn't that cool? Should we go with that? Okay, I think that was a yes, right? Okay, so now my next question is, do I want to sew it? I think I'm going to glue it. I think I'm going to glue it. Okay, so we've got our, this is Crafter's Pick Ultimate Glue. This is like, I have decided this is my favorite glue. I use glue sticks sometimes. Occasionally I will use a glue, mainly if I, don't have this handy. But this glue is just perfect, and it works really well for doing videos too, because it dries, relatively quickly. It doesn't dry so quickly that I can't move stuff, but it dries quickly enough that I don't have to sit around waiting for things to dry. Okay, and I think I want to do just like a little bit in the middle here. I'm using the nozzle to kind of rub it around a little bit. I don't need to cover the whole thing. Okay. So, and if I get any of it on the fabric or anything, it dries completely clear. It doesn't dry shiny. So it's really nice to use if you're mistake prone like me and you have to move stuff around. And where I put the glue, it might fray up to that point, but it won't fray past it. And it'd be kind of nice if it frays a little bit more. Okay, because that's kind of the look that we're going for, kind of a hippie look. Okay, I want to make sure that it didn't make it lumpy over here. Yeah. Okay, so then we want to put this on. I think I'm going to sew these onto this first, and I actually should have sewn that onto there before putting it on, but that's okay. Okay, so, and I'm not going to use, I don't know, am I going to use zigzag, or am I just going to use a straight stitch? I think I am going to use zigzag for some of this. Okay, so we're going to, I think we decided we were going to center this but have it up a little bit. So it'll be like that. Okay, so I'm going to sew that on. I am going to zigzag around that. And I'm going to start up at the top, even though I said last night that I usually like to start at the bottom. This whole thing shows, so I kind of want the thread that's hanging off to be up at the top. You know, none of this is going to be on the back like the cover is. Okay. Because I don't cut the ends. You know, my machine cuts it, but it leaves some hanging like this. And I like that. That's kind of the shabby chic kind of look. Okay, and then this I'm going to have hanging off of that somewhat. So let me figure out exactly how I want that to be. I think we're going to center that on the blue fabric. Okay, and then this, I don't want it hanging off so far that it comes off the edge of the cover. That would be kind of weird. But I think right there is good. So I'm going to use a little bit of glue stick just to hold it in place so I don't lose where I have it. So I want it right there. So I'm just going to obviously sew the part that's on the paper. Okay, so let's go ahead and sew that on. I'm not sure what my dog is barking about. He should be fine. It could be that he's sensing that there's going to be a storm and we're going to have some lightning. Sometimes he gets sensitive about that. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to have to go check on him. Okay, there we go. I think that's pretty, don't you? And it's special, you know, it's got this verse that is so perfect for her, and this picture that's great for her, and then the ledger paper because she was an accountant, which I think is kind of cool. Okay, so then I'm going to glue this. And this glue is wonderful too because it sticks to fabric. So far, everything that I've used it on, buttons, and I've used metal buttons, I've used wooden buttons, I've used, you know, plastic or resin or whatever they normally make them out of, buttons, and I've used it a lot on cloth and obviously a lot on paper. Now the one thing is, it's a fairly thick glue, so you do want to make sure that you smooth it out either while you're putting the glue on. Okay, so like sometimes you'll see me just kind of drag the nozzle back through it to kind of smooth it out, or I smooth it out after I put it on, and that's just so that you don't have, you know, like kind of beating up under it and have like lumps and stuff. And then I like to use these cosmetic wipes to wipe my edges, and at the same time I'm pressing down so that you know, so that the glue is going to be flat. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good for a start. Okay, now what else do I want to have with it? I have buttons here. And I had been kind of looking at these green buttons because they were a nice contrast to that. I'm not sure if that's like too much color with that. I don't know if we want to go with something that's more navy blue. That's actually, I think that's black. I like that one though. Navy blue. What else do I have? Got that that's a little bit smaller. There's that. That doesn't get enough contrast. I think it needs to be something with contrast. Yeah, not like wood. Okay, so I think those are, or there's a smaller green one here. Okay, so those are kind of what I'm looking at as far as buttons, possibly. As far as some nice dangly little critters. I mean, I've got, this was like 100, and they're nice, kind of heavy whatchamacallits, charms. Maybe a peace sign. They're nice heavy charms, and I think it was like $5.99 for 100. And there's just like a real variety. It's really cool. Okay, there's a feather there. I'm not sure if I would say she's boho or not. There's a tree of life, which is kind of cool. Let's see what else I have here. Kind of like the idea of a charm because it's, you know, it'll have some movement. It'll add some movement to the whole thing. And just because, I mean, we are seriously children of the 70s. There's an angel wing, which would also be really appropriate for her. Okay, so I think I've got enough to choose from here. There's another tree. Okay, so I've got enough to choose from here, so I kind of want to figure out what I'm going to do. I forgot to look at the time when I started, so I'm not sure if I'm getting close to half an hour or not, and my camera will cut off. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and stop this, check on my dogs, and restart with a new video to work on the rest of this. I love you all. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.